What's up everyone? Got a great video for you here today. Today we're going to be talking about the big V-twin offerings from Kawasaki, the Kawasaki Vulcan Vaquero and this Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager. We're going to discuss what's going on with this bike for 2025, discuss a little bit more about updates, things of that nature. Let's jump right in. Okay, so for those of y'all who have been following my channel for a minute, y'all know that I own a 2012 Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager. And I'll say from the outset, I really like this motorcycle. I think it's got a lot of power, it's comfortable on long road trips, which I eat up miles, a lot of miles when I ride. It's a great bike all around, I believe. So just a quick editor's note. I wanted to come here and post and add a couple thoughts that I didn't quite get down when I was recording this video. What I think that Kawasaki does with the Vulcan Voyager as well as the Vaquero is they offer an excellent option for a big V-twin motorcycle that comes in as a base model really and allows you to accessorize this bike exactly how you want it, all at an affordable price. Where Indian and Harley-Davidson market themselves as premium motorcycle brands, which have amazing amounts of accessories and amazing amounts of accoutrements, which you do pay a pretty penny for, Kawasaki takes the opposite approach. They offer you a bare bones motorcycle, which is reliable and is a basic platform on which you can build and accessorize to your heart's content. Now, I don't think Kawasaki set out to do that intentionally, but that's what the Vulcan Voyager and the Vaquero have become in today's motorcycle market. There are some riders that keep their motorcycles bone stock for the entire life cycle of the motorcycle, and then there are riders that, in their opinion, you should start immediately modifying the motorcycle as soon as it comes from the factory. Some people get the ECU tuned, some people get new pipes, etc. put on the bike. However, Harley-Davidson riders do this too. They think that you have to go get a stage 1 kit immediately after you buy the bike, and they like nothing stock about the bike either. It's just that, like I said, each of these bikes have their particular quirks, and some people like the bike's bone stock from the factory, and others think that you have to set out to accessorize. However, Kawasaki gives you the ability to have that basic model without the large display, without all the craziness on there, if you so desire, and gives it to you at an affordable price point. And I'll say this right from the outset. For those of y'all who hate on Japanese metric cruisers and say, well, they're just like, they're trying to be like Harley-Davidson, they're trying to do this, they're trying to do that. I think if you come into a Kawasaki big V-twin cruiser, the Vulcan Voyager or the Vaquero, and you really want to buy a Harley-Davidson, then you're going to be disappointed because these bikes are not Harley-Davidsons. Yes, Harley-Davidson has that rumble that we're all familiar with, the engine sounds, all that stuff. You're not going to get that with these two bikes. So I would say if you are in the market for a Harley-Davidson and you're looking for a way to get into the market, go find you a used one at the same price point that you can buy a Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager at, because if you buy this bike expecting it to be a Harley, you will be sorely disappointed. I think these bikes hold their own in their own right. They've been around since 2009, the current design, and it's been going on forever with minor changes here and there and updates. So these bikes have got quite a built up following, quite a few people who are following them, and quite a people who are aficionados of the bike since it's been around for a little while. And they've kind of grown into their own right. These bikes have quirks of their own, they have the personalities of their own. And for me personally, I've come to accept them and I've come to enjoy riding my big V-twin cruiser. No, it's not a Harley-Davidson, but I really enjoy riding it. So like I said a moment ago, this bike has been around in its current iteration from 2009. And it's gone through a few updates here and there, For 2025, on October 1st, 2024, Kawasaki announced that they were going to be releasing the information for the 2025 model year of the Voyager and the Vaquero, and they released photographs of what the new paint scheme will be for 2025. I'm really excited about the colors for 2025. I do like the colors on the Voyager, and on the Vaquero, it's an all right color. I don't know that it would have been my first choice, but it certainly is an interesting kind of darkish color, and I think it could turn a few heads. But here's my gripe. And I talked about this a little bit in my previous video on what's new in 2025 for Kawasaki, is that this Voyager current platform for the Voyager and the Vaquero both, they've been around since 2009. It is a dated design. I think that there are things that Kawasaki can do to improve on the current design and kind of hone in on the things that are known problems with this motorcycle. But if you do that, it's both a blessing and a curse, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But there are a few known issues with the Kawasaki Vulcan Voyagers and the Vaqueros at the current iteration in 2024. First of all, we know that the neck bearings are weak. This has played out over and over again, many people opting to change the neck bearings as soon as they acquire the motorcycle because they don't want that hassle down the road. So neck bearings are a known issue on this bike. Also a known issue on this bike is that the stock tune, the stock ECU performance of this bike is a little dull. And I know that the company is trying to keep it within the EPA's regulations and all that, and I get that. But there's got to be a way to get this bike more aggressive from the factory. Now, I know what a lot of y'all are saying is this is a 900-pound bike, and you're absolutely correct. She is a big girl, but there are ways to eke a little bit more performance out of the current tune that aren't problematic, like the fuel cutoff and all these other things that are endemic to these bikes as they come from the factory. So there are a few things to tweak here and there that I don't think will require a huge redesign of the bike. And I think that, like I said, if these incremental improvements are made to the bike, then this bike really will shine straight out of the dealership, and a lot more people will be willing to buy into these bikes if they don't have to do that additional initial investment. Now for 2025, there is a $400 increase on the Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager and a similar one on the Vaquero. That is probably due to global inflation, but when I saw that, I did let out a little groan, and I'm sure a lot of people across Kawasaki Nation did too who are fans of these bikes. The main selling point about the Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager and the Vaquero in 2024 is that it is the lowest priced option to get into a big V-twin cruiser that is above, 1500 cc's. They're pretty much one of the only games in town, and the bikes themselves are really good bikes. They've got a great reputation, save for the problems that I mentioned a moment ago. But the main reason a lot of these people buy these bikes is because of their affordability. They don't want to shell out $30,000, $40,000 for Indian or a Harley, so they come to the Voyager. So know that every incremental increase that you make, Kawasaki, that there is an increasing likelihood, an ever increasing likelihood that people will look at the expense and say, you know what, for this price, I could go get a used Indian, I could go get a used Harley, and end up going that route and potentially losing some business. So I'm not saying that we would capture people away from the diehard Indians and Harley fans and all that other stuff. But what I'm saying is that people who are on the fence that are considering all three bikes, they may end up coming to Kawasaki as long as you keep the price low. Now, I said earlier that the fact that this bike has not been updated for years and years and years is both a blessing and a curse. I'm I'm not going to lie, me as a aficionado of the Voyager and the Vaquero as well, I was holding my breath hoping that there would be some kind of redesign, some kind of refresh for 2025, give the bike a little bit newer look, update a few things here and there. But if that happens, know that Kawasaki will have to recalculate what the redesign costs were and figure out what they're going to have to sell this bike over X number of years in order to recoup that R&D cost. So that would inevitably drive the cost of the Voyager up, of the Vaquero up, and then just like I said earlier, the main advantage for these two bikes is price. It will cut that and make it a little bit harder for these bikes to compete with the other similar bikes in this class. So the other side of this is that since this bike has been in production largely since 2009 in the same way, there's tons and tons and tons of parts out there available for Kawasaki to continue to manufacture these bikes, as well as for you to find parts when you need to wrench on your bike every once in a while when those things go wrong. There's no need to retool. There's no need to recast. Everything that's on this bike has been made the same way en masse since 2009. And that's another thing that you can do to keep the cost low, or that Kawasaki does to keep the cost low. So it's a two-edged sword. One, you get an updated bike, you get new features, but you're paying more for it, or you keep the same and you keep the cost low. I think Kawasaki can strike kind of a little bit of a balance between the both. Obviously, like I said a moment ago, there are known defective items on these bikes that are weak links. If Kawasaki spends the extra effort and the extra time and extra whatever they need to do to fix some of these issues, then that would make this bike just a little bit better and a little bit more attractive a purchase. Another thing that Kawasaki can do, I think, is keeping the current dashboard, keeping the current everything on this bike, the current design the way it is. I wonder if there wouldn't be a market for a premium option. So say you want to keep the same Vulcan Voyager, you want to get it the way it is now, no issue, no problem. But I almost wonder if there was a way to redesign the dash and present a premium option for those who want the built-in navigation, the large display screen, like Harley and Indian are going to now. And it's not unheard of. I know some of the other bikes that are in Kawasaki's lineup, they're incorporating technology. So any way to upgrade the tech on these bikes, keeping the price in a reasonable range would be helpful if folks want to do the premium option. Of course, I'm not a marketer, I'm not a market tester, I don't know these things, but I wonder out loud if that's an option. Either that or come up with a way to accessorize, bring up more accessories, that way people can bolt on these things, add the things that they would like to add. Many of these motorcycles, the only thing they need, of the Voyager and the Vaquero, the only thing they need is tires, oil, and gas, and filters. You just keep the oil changed in it, keep tires on it, she's good to go. So anything you can do to reduce maintenance on these bikes is going to increase the value. Like I said a moment ago, I think that these motorcycles have grown into their own right. They have cult followings of their own. And I guess more than a cult following, because there's a lot of people who love these motorcycles, who own these motorcycles, who ride these motorcycles. There's a lot of people who own these motorcycles, Vulcan Voyager and Vulcan Vaquero, and I would love to see this bike continue on, this line continue on for several more years. I know I love mine. I would like to upgrade mine at some point to a newer model and to take advantage. I don't have the K-Act system. All in all though, I guess the alternative to all this is that Kawasaki could completely scrap the Voyager line like they did previously in a previous iteration of the bike and abandon the cruiser market like some of the other manufacturers have done. So in a way, I'm happy that we have the motorcycle. Even if Kawasaki doesn't do anything to the Voyager and keeps it as is for the next several years, it's still one of the best values on the market for a big V-twin cruiser. So really can't complain, I guess, if you think about it like that. So Kawasaki, if anyone from the company is listening, you know, you're doing great with the bike. Just please fix, at the very least, even if you don't do anything else, fix those known problems that's wrong with the bike that you can. Obviously, if you're up against the EPA, can't do anything with the ECU, I get that. But the things that we know that are wrong, listen to some of the customer feedback, fix the neck bearings in this thing, and let's continue to have a machine that's out there that can capture some of the market segment for those people who can't or won't afford the big $40,000 touring bikes. Anyhow, those are just my 2 cents. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all on the next one.